Real Housewives of London review. Criminally light on rich people feuding. No cost of living crisis here, declares self-proclaimed small-town girl turned skincare brand founder Amanda, driving around a particularly swanky part of West London in her gleaming Bentley. It's the perfect strapline for the latest addition to the increasingly sprawling Real Housewives franchise, which is set in the UK capital and follows a group of 6 intensely wealthy women who all run in the same super-rich circles. In the lead-up to the series airing, the cast have teased feuds so intense that production were forced to intervene and cut the cameras, and given that the franchise has previously gifted us moments such as Jen labeling Mary as a grandpa F*** Kerr, Salt Lake City, and a lighthearted pajama party escalating into a full-blown physical brawl, Atlanta, this initially set the bar of expectations fairly high. Though there's admittedly an entire rest of season yet to come, the source of Episode 1's dramatic tension was fairly underwhelming, arising from an incredibly convoluted and petty feud involving a dentist. After rewatching this section of the show 3 separate times in order to work out why stay-at-home mom Panthea was so upset with one of the show's 2 almost indistinguishable Juliets, I surmised that it was because the dentist in question, a mutual friend, had refused to fix Panthea's son's braces and gave him a mouthful of fillings instead. Ever since Teethgate, Juliet's been fake with me at every single soiree, Panthea snarls. Why is this orthodontic mishap Juliet's problem? I couldn't possibly tell you. While I'm all for petty drama, these things work in a similar way to a joke's punchline. If it takes several attempts to explain what's going on, it's probably not quite hitting the mark. Otherwise, Episode 1 largely focuses on introducing us to the gang, with introductory segments sandwiched between aerial shots of royal palaces and quick-cut shots of expensive mansions and flashy cars in Chelsea. I may be from the Commonwealth, but there's nothing common about me, announces fashion designer Karen, who is installing a swimming pool in her house, despite not being able to swim. Australian Juliet tells us that she has a stuffed swan named Gertrude in her drawing room. Baker to the Royals, Nessie compares Amanda to Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, if you were to replace the dwarfs with personal assistants. All equally detached from most Londoners' realities, the group spend much of their time trotting through Hyde Park on horseback, taking their dogs for spa-style facials, and proudly describing themselves as tradwives, without a shred of irony. Buckingham Palace is evidently this Lotsburghain, with the cast continually boasting about how many times they've managed to get in the door. I just feel exhausted, Panthea announces, while her high-flying lawyer husband serves her a cup of tea in bed. I don't even do anything. I don't even work. At least she's self-aware. It's admittedly still early days for the series, and more compelling feuds are hopefully tucked around the corner, but our first glimpses fall disappointingly short. Usually, I gain a lot of sadistic enjoyment from watching rich people bickering with each other and whinging on about a never-ending succession of non-problems. It serves as a nice down-to-earth reminder that money really can't buy you happiness. But here, so far, there's not nearly enough to get your teeth into. The Real Housewives of London is streaming now on Hulu. Register now for one of the Standard's newsletters. From a daily news briefing to homes and property insights, plus lifestyle, going out, offers, and more. For the best stories in your inbox, click here. The Real Housewives franchise has always thrived on spectacle, lavish lifestyles, unchecked egos, and feuds that spiral from petty slights into all-out wars. So when the Real Housewives of London finally arrived, expectations were sky-high. The city practically sells itself. Centuries of aristocratic wealth, Mayfair penthouses, Chelsea soirees, and plenty of socialite drama waiting to erupt. Unfortunately, the show stumbles at the very thing it should excel in, delivering deliciously messy conflict among the wealthy. The cast is an eclectic mix of new money entrepreneurs, old-school socialites, and 1 or 2 women who feel shoehorned in for diversity's sake rather than natural chemistry. While they showcase designer wardrobes and Instagram-ready lifestyles, the spark that ignites true housewives chaos never really catches fire. Tiffs over dinner parties feel half-hearted, confessions to camera are oddly restrained, and too often the women seem more concerned with personal brand management than stirring the pot. It doesn't help that production leans heavily into scenic shots of London rather than the raw confrontations fans crave. Yes, sweeping views of the Thames and glossy tea room meetups look fabulous, but they come at the expense of the biting wit and spectacular meltdowns that define the franchise. What little drama emerges, over who snubbed whom at a charity gala, lands with the force of a damp crumpet rather than a champagne flute-shattering explosion. That's not to say the show is without promise. The cultural clash between British Reserve and the Housewives' tradition of unfiltered drama could be gold if the cast leaned into it. But as it stands, The Real Housewives of London feels more like a glossy travelogue than the messy, addictive guilty pleasure fans were hoping for.